Hello and welcome to Paleti with Apala, proudly presented by Nolo Digital. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe our YouTube channel if you want to stay on top of all the amazing topics that we talk about every other week. Today we're going to talk about the most talked about, I would say, are the most relatable topics during your school years, during your high school, you know like during your as you're growing up, you experience this a lot, and that is bullying. We have our child and adolescent psychiatrist, Dr. Sharad Koirala, with us. He is based off of Mount Sinai Health Systems in Chicago, and he came to US. So he was born and brought up in Nepal, and he came to United States in 2010. He's been practicing psychiatrist, he's been working as a psychiatrist since 2000, I would say 12, 13, but it's been 5+ years for him as as a child psychiatrist. So let's welcome him.
Namaste.
Namaste, Dr. Sharad Koirala. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Absolutely. The pleasure's all ours. The pleasure's all ours. So let's jump into the topic right away. What is bullying? Can you explain bullying for us?
Bullying is the most commonly used word. There are other words which is used mostly in Nepal. They also call ragging. It involves seemingly benign but could be potentially very dangerous activities like name calling, harassing other people, humiliating people in front of others, and it sometimes gets to more physical, like pushing and physically hurting people. Most of those activities are intentionally done to the other people, and we usually see some power differential. It doesn't have to be actual difference in power. If there is perceived powerfulness or perceived weakness, the powerful person end up doing those things to less powerful or weak people.
Great, thank you. So let's go to the $1 million question. Why does a person bully another peer or his classmates? Why does that happen?
Uh, Usually, there is not a straight answer. Mostly, it involves two parts. One is how person is brought up, how they are dealing with the stress, and how much empathy they have, how much they can think about the feeling of the other people. So typically, if you feel like you're in a superior position, or you have seen some domestic violence or community violence, those things, then you start practicing those with your peers, and also have difficult thinking about somebody else feelings, then that will make you kind of keep going.
And we kind of lost you there a little bit. So you were saying that if a child or if a person sees violence in their family or in their community, they try to imitate that, and that's why kids bully each other, or is that what you said? Because we
Right.
lost you a little there.
Right, that's one of the reasons. It doesn't explain everything, but that's one of the reasons. Yes.
Okay. Is there a scientific or a psychological reason, um, any biological reason that explains?
Uh, there are certain kind of personalities, like antisocial personalities, and those kind of people who tend to almost have fun doing mean things to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And also research people who has been bullied themselves or has been exposed to other kind of abuse, neglect, violence. Those kind of people are more likely to do it to other people too. And it also goes to our social norms of wanting to be better and more powerful. It sometimes gives you a feeling of I'm better than other, I'm more powerful, and that also tends to cause it too.
Got it. Can you share in your experience of like in practicing psychiatry, for so long, have you come across any incident or any bizarre bullying incident that you've experienced? or heard of?
Uh, I think there are so many of them. They are not all caused by bullying all the time, but they're usually bullying is one of the things leading to really terrible outcomes of in terms of mental health. I remember one 13-year-old girl who was getting bullied and kind of excluded from her group. Then she didn't know
Mm-hmm.
how to deal with those bad feelings and frustration it came with, and
Right.
she started cutting herself, and the bullies found out she was doing it, and they
Mm-hmm.
started posting comments like, yeah, that's what you deserve, go ahead and kill yourself. And she ended up trying to kill herself, and she was in the ER. We had, she took overdose on medication. She ended up in the ER. We had to actually put her in the ICU for several days before we could
Mm-hmm.
transfer her to a psychiatric unit for more psychological and mental health treatment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. So like, besides the person who bullies and besides the victim, do we have any other active, I'm not going to say participants, but who else is involved in encouraging these kind of behaviors?
So there, when some bullying is going on, usually it involves more than somebody who is bullying somebody who is bullied. There are other peers, other people who are bystanders, and
Mm-hmm.
in some way or other, knowingly or unknowingly, we can encourage the bully,
Mm-hmm.
or we can try to stop and kind of stop the cycle of bullying too. So it usually involves person or the group who is bullying others,
Mm-hmm.
person or group who is being bullied, and rest of the people who are kind of who knows it's happening or can see it happening in front of their eyes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So those are not active participants, but they are there as, I don't know, as audience. I don't want to call them audience, but like, so how can okay, let's go to the point where how can the bystanders, as you mentioned, how can they help, or how can they, because there are times when you are scared. If you see somebody else being bullied, somebody of your own size being bullied, you don't want to get involved because you might end up being the victim. So how can
Right.
a bystander act without being affected?
Okay. So bystander usually can do nothing. That's one of the thing that happens most of the time, which actually does not help stop the cause. On
Hmm.
the other hand, bystanders sometimes kind of feels like they have a choice to make about being a weak person, which then they might end up being bullied themselves. So they might take the
Right.
passive role and they might be victim down the road. On the
Mm-hmm.
opposite side, sometimes what happens is bystander feel like, oh goodness, this could happen to me. So I don't want to be the one who gets bullied. Rather, I will
Right.
start bullying other because I want to be powerful one, not the victim. So
Mm-hmm.
it can go either of the way. And a bystander has very important role to play. In a sense, they can say, simple things like, hey, this is not right. If somebody can say that, if one
Mm-hmm.
person says that, for the most part, rest of the people are feeling bad about it too, and they
Right.
will join, and it might stop. And they
Mm-hmm.
also can report it to the adults, teachers in the school, coach in case when they are in sports, or guardians if it's happening in the other places. And detect it early, stop it, and potential consequences that could come from bullying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, okay, so those are the active participants, or people who actually saw it live, right? So how can a parent or your support system? So how can family parents help their kids to stop or to stand up against bullying? How can they play an active role?
Okay, so that's the most common question I get asked, and before answering that, I want add a little quick point here. A lot of older people, maybe we are one of them, but people even older than us,
Mm-hmm.
uh, when they here bully, our thinking is something happening physically in the school, in the playground, in your neighborhood, sometimes with the siblings at home. That's what comes to our mind. But there is something even more dangerous going on with the access to electronics, internet, social media, and all of that. This is cyberbullying. So other kind of bullying, you're safe when you're away from the bully. With
Mm-hmm.
cyberbullying, you're never safe. They are always in excess of you, and you're always getting the messages or in touch with them. So when parents think about bullying, it's very important we're thinking about the bullying in a which we understand more like physical in a place kind of bullying, and
Mm-hmm.
other one is cyberbullying. So the most important thing for parents is to have attentive ears.
Okay.
Kids usually don't say I'm bullied. The way it usually starts is I hate school.
Mm-hmm.
My friends are mean. They're gonna drop some little clue for you to kind of tag and kind of follow. Almost like a test to you. They want to
Mm-hmm.
know, are you interested listening?
Right.
If we don't pay attention to those clues, we might
Mm-hmm.
end up missing rest of the thing. So
Right.
that's
Right.
the first most important thing. And the second part is we start seeing some changes in their behavior. Someone who liked school, always fun being, wanted to be around their friends, now say, no, I don't want to go to school. School is stupid. My friends are boring. They,
Mm-hmm.
no one cares about me anyway. Those
Right.
kind of things. There are
Mm-hmm.
some changes in their behavior, like not sleeping, not eating, not caring about their work, and their grades going down. Those are the signals. So when we
Mm-hmm.
see that, we want to ask and start learning more about it.
So those
That's
those
kind
are
of where
like
it
so those are more of
starts.
a early detection. Early, how can you
Yes,
like detect it early on? Great, great. Okay.
right. So once you know, then we need to engage the kids. And remember, if you're bullied, you're likely
Mm-hmm.
to have low self-esteem to begin with, and
Right.
it might end up going even lower because
Mm-hmm.
you start getting bullied.
Right.
So the usual prescription of just telling, just do this, do that, why didn't you do this, is not going to help. Now they feel like, and I'm actually not capable of doing things on my own.
Mm.
So we want to involve them and get their ideas as much as possible.
Okay.
We just don't want to prescribe everything unless we truly feel they are not safe. Then you
Mm-hmm.
do everything you need to do. So
Right.
involving them in the process to help improve their self-esteem is one of the most important thing you can do. And then you involve other things like school staff. And sometimes if things are really bad, uh, in
Mm-hmm.
my clinic we actually have attorney, and so attorney helps get the legal proceeding too. If sometimes
Oh,
it gets that far.
right, right. Okay. And another thing, because I mean, again, going back to my own school days and whatnot. So as you mentioned, there are like, anti-bullying, like, policies, and you can go to the school staff and whatnot. But if I'm the victim, and if I go to the principal's office and complain, it might solve bullying, like, for a short period of time. That kind of makes me look like a, like, for the lack of better term, loser, because they're gonna say, ha, you could not fight with me, like, verbally or physically, and now you're going to the principal's office. I'm gonna see you outside school. So I am more likely to be, bullied again. So how do I solve that? Because there are times when parents are like, yeah, tell your teacher, tell the principal. That's not gonna help, right? So
Uh,
that's more of a,
it
it's a temporary solution.
it helps and it does not. I think the main thing here is to building the trust. If kids start trusting adults like teachers, parents,
Uh-huh.
just the fact that they trust and believe, if I need, they will come save me, they will come help me, they believe me, That's going to solve almost a half problem.
Hmm.
A lot
Hmm.
of times the problem is my parents is not going to believe me. My teacher is not going to do anything. That's where the problem comes. If they start believing
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
adults and then it helps. So we always encourage them to tell adults, even if they can solve it themselves. We still encourage
Mm-hmm.
them to tell them. That way they know what's going on. And like you said, it's not the whole solution because adults cannot be with them all the time. Then we need to work with the
Exactly.
kid to teach them
Mm-hmm.
how to improve their self-esteem, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we even do the modeling and practice, like how to do it, what to say, what if this situation happens, and then the role of the bystander comes too. So now you start using your resources like your friends. You like if you're going somewhere, you make sure you're going with your friends. If you're in the playground, you're not by yourself in the corner of the playground, or those kind of little things start
Mm-hmm.
self-esteem is one of the most important thing to work. The part is sometimes those kids are bullied. Those kids who are bullied are also having mental health problems, also being abused in other settings. So if
Uh-huh.
we work on those, then it's going to help tackle the bullying problem too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. And that kind of makes me think. So as a parent, so if my child is the victim, if he's being bullied, he will like drop hints like how you mentioned earlier, not liking school, like in change in behavior. But what if my kid is the like perpetrator? If he's the one who bullies others, how can I identify those?
So you can get some hints. Sometimes parents say, "My kid, my son is not nice to younger sibling or even older sibling." Then they start,
Mm-hmm.
is it happening in other settings too? And most of the parents, especially like more parents, aware of those kind of things, they are very proactive in being in communication with teachers too. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
teachers see it happening, they get the complaints about so and so bullying other kids, and usually they contact both the parents of the victim and parents of the perpetrator too.
All
So
right.
those are the ways you would find it, like if they are doing it or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great. So great information. Like, and thank you so much for sharing your expertise. Um, I mean, for now, yeah, yeah, I'm sure some parents that are out there, like listen to our episodes and hopefully they get something out of it. Even one action item they can catch or one, useful thing they get from this episode, that would be a win for us. Um, do you have any other suggestions as we're wrapping this episode up? Anything that can help parents and families or kids out there, especially, or if there's anything that you want to bring up about bullying.
Yeah, I talk with a lot of my friends also about bullying. They kind of say, does it really happen? Is it real? Does it happen? They feel like it's a problem for uh, very different kind of kids, different kind of family. It's not going to happen to me or my family, my kids. So that's not true. It could happen to anybody.
I'm sorry,
That's
let me
number one.
interrupt you. So are they questioning that whatever their child is sharing with them, so they're like questioning the child's experience?
That not questioning the bullying itself. Does it really happen? Is it as common as they hear in the
Oh,
news or other people talk about? They are talking. Does it really exist? Is it that common?
oh,
That
right,
kind of
right.
way. So it
Okay.
is very common. The research
Mm-hmm.
has indicated that like they asked adults about their bullying experience when they were kid, they
Mm-hmm.
say like almost more than half of them said they were bullied at some point of life.
Mm-hmm.
So And that would seem true with some of the researches that happen in Nepal too. I saw numbers from about like 52%. One of them even say like I think it was 69%. So it's more than half of them uh, share bullying.
Mm-hmm.
If we ask kids like if you're bullied in last 30 days,
Mm-hmm.
like 1 in 4 kids say yes I was. Out of them, like 1 in 10 says they were bullied like physically. Someone pushed them, hit them, hurt them, like physically hurt them. So that kind of bullying. So
Mm-hmm.
it's more common than we think. Out of those,
Mm-hmm.
half the people, they say like almost 10% of them say they get bullied not once or here or there random, like more regularly. So it
Wow.
does happen very common. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we need to pay attention to it and kind of have like our ears ready for to listen when kids are ready to talk about it. And the
Mm-hmm.
second part of it is uh, there is the when there is bullying, it
Mm-hmm.
like if it goes on for a long time, it usually involves people who is already struggling with how to cope with the stress.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to it takes time for any reason for whatever thing, but if it keeps happening, it usually involves the way victim reacts to it. It could be
Mm-hmm.
like getting angry, wanting to fight, or crying, getting flushed, running away. So that's what bully want. They want the reaction. That's what gets them going. So
Mm-hmm.
if we can help them kid understand how to react to the bully and
Mm-hmm.
when to ask for support, so we can not only stop it from the beginning and we can also stop if it has already started to getting to serious consequences like getting into depression, anxiety, other psychological problems. Like I mentioned before, sometimes it gets to suicide attempts. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
attempts too. So very important, and we can control and to some extent even stop it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Great, great. So all great information. That kind of reminds me when you said the like bulliers, they kind of thrive on the reaction. One of the common things I know, parents they said ignore it, like no, like do not react to a bullier. But you are saying that yes, a reaction is necessary, maybe not like physical reactions, but if you go to the administrators or the school staff or to your parents, that's a right like reaction. But not to
Right,
do
right.
it at all is not good.
Not doing anything is not good. Not doing in a different in its way, giving the reaction bully wants is not going to help.
Mm-hmm.
Not reacting not going to help too. So we have to find a way to react it appropriately. Number one, and number two, get our the resources in place, like
Mm-hmm.
school counselor, teachers, parents, sports coach.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if it is happening in neighborhood, there is if the little kid is getting bullied, there might be older kids who is more responsible enough to kind of watch out and protect those kind of things and stop it from happening, like using the bystanders, everyone involved in kids life.
Got it. Great. Great information. Thank you so much for, sharing your expertise again. And everybody watching us out there, watching this episode out there, I hope I hope you get something out of this episode, and let's all join hands toward solving this issue. Though it's not, I mean, it is one of the most important factor that kids don't like to go to school, or it happens in everybody's life. Either you are the perpetrator or you're the bystander. I'm sure everybody is a bystander at one point. So let's hope that all of us can identify this as a major issue. And as Dr. Koirala said, um, this is not just something that happens in school and after you graduate your high school it's gone. No, those bulliers are the perpetrators. go into adult life, into college, into like workplaces, and they still continue those activities. And the victims who had like low self-esteem, they are still gonna feel the same. It's not gonna go away. So it's a lifelong, it has a lifelong impact. So as parents, as like a support system, if we can identify, like how he mentioned, all the early signals, if we can identify that in the kids, then we can prevent it. It's a lifelong issue that's going to happen. So let's hope to not end it. I'm sure to end it would be a big word. So let's hope that all of us can kind of minimize the impact, the activity altogether. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe our YouTube channel. And if you want us to continue in this topic, in much more details, then we can do that. We can come up with that in our season 2 episodes. Thank you for watching us. Enjoy your weekend. Bye bye.